Welcome to the Church of Thomas. Dilettante, 10/21/07. This world has gotten very technical. Previously, there were many things that a normal person could fiddle with a while and fix. Now, just programming your electrical toys can be mind-boggling. My mom cannot understand enough of the instructions on a new TV manual to do more than turn it on. Sometimes she has trouble just finding out where to plug in the power cord. I'm a bit better. If I work at it long enough, and I'm pretty stubborn, I usually get things set up to my satisfaction. I do not know how many features never get activated because they're just too much of a hassle. I'm sure if I called a tech support person or a young friend, I would be set up to the utmost. I'm happy with what I manage, so I don't bother. I do foresee a time when I will be in the same situation as my mom. Technology is developing so quickly that even a year can make whatever gadget you have totally obsolete. I think we miss out on a great deal by handling technology this way. I know some of my young friends are also overwhelmed by the changes. I'm not very old, but I remember when it was the older people in our lives that taught us. They had met the situation in a dozen times, learned many creative ways of working out the solutions. In modern times, there's literally no time to work out the bugs. There's no time to gain experience through trial and error to find the very best way to deal with a problem. By the time we understand how to plug in the power cord, the model's obsolete. There are many how-to books for dummies out there. They're very useful to get started in a project. They may even be sufficient to your needs. You may not need any more technical support. Sometimes it's very important to understand all the facets of what you are attempting, however. There are things in the world where only knowing the surface of how to do something can kill you. There are still specialties in the world where only someone adept at it can practice them safely. They are trained for many years. They dedicate all of their energy to perfecting their trade. Until they are perfect that discipline, they are not allowed to work in that field, at least not legally. Two examples come from Asia, and they are creating a samurai sword and the preparation of pufferfish. A third example comes from Samoa, Tahiti, and Hawaii and their descendants. I talked about the many stages of making a samurai sword in a different sermon. I only observed for a couple of hours. There were hundreds of large and small things I could never know unless I apprenticed to a master sword maker for many years. If I claimed to know how to make one, I would be guilty of being a dilettante. I would be able to fake one at the very best, something that looked like a sword. My guess is any sword I would make probably would shatter the first time I wielded it. I've never tried pufferfish. It's a delicacy in Asia. People pay a great deal to be served the dish. There's a black market in it as well. Because a master chef who has studied how to make the dish safely is highly sought after, they can demand a very high salary. Money always draws fakes and dilettantes. It is only when they have slipped up and killed someone that they move on. The demand is so high, they get other restaurants to hire them very quickly. The last example of not knowing the rules leading to harm is the preparation of taro root. Taro is a starchy purple root. It is a staple food for all Polynesian peoples. They brought it with them to plant wherever they traveled. They always made poi with it. Making poi is a process of cooking and then fermenting the taro root. When completed, it looks like a bowl of very thick purple Elmer's glue. It is an acquired taste. I did not find it terrible, just very bland. Later on, when there was money to eat out at a sit-down restaurant, I saw a dish that was also prepared with taro root. I thought I'd try it. It was served like a potato salad. The taro root was used instead of normal potato ingredient. It had a slight blush of purple running through the pieces. When I tasted it, the texture was a bit grainier than a potato, but very pleasant with a sweetness in addition to the earthy note of most root vegetables. About the time I finished my meal, I noticed a tingling and itching at the back of my throat. After a while, the tingling included my tongue. I recognized this feeling from my aunt's rhubarb plants in Maine. I was the culinary victim of a dilettante. Some chef had treated the taro just like potato it was replacing. They did not bother to find out the rest of the story. The taro root is protected from predators by a substance in their leaves, stems, and roots. It's called oxalic acid. It is poisonous. 5 grams can be fatal. The extreme end of the line is convulsions and coma. Lucky for me and every person who probably ate there, it takes repeated meals of it to get to that extreme. Calcium-rich foods served with it can help. Chronic indigestion can lead to kidney disease and failure. Luckily, most of the locals could not afford to eat there. Of course, any Hawaiian auntie could have told this chef what they were doing wrong. The key is in the cooking. If you do not boil it long enough, the oxalic acid is not neutralized. Poi is so processed that it never has any left to harm someone. I reported the problem to the manager. If they cared, they told the chef to shape up. Because of the vacant look in their face, I never went back to eat there. I did fall in love with taro chips. Think potato chips, but using taro root. It is bad enough when someone is a half-trained chef, sword maker, or techie. That is the physical world. The injury and possible death do not go beyond this world around us. There are spiritual dilettantes as well. There are tons of how-to books on spirituality out there. I've read my share of them. Most of these books read something like a recipe. If you do A, this happens. If you do B, this happens. If you do A, B, and C, and D, you get your big surprise. Like most half-assed things, they get away with it because this is a great deal of money involved in the whole industry. A spiritual dilettante generally follows the recipe. When that has worked a few times, they try something bigger. In a few months, they are claiming to be experts and adept at the practice of fill in the blank. Unfortunately, they are playing Russian roulette. They do not have the background, history, rules, and precautions of whatever they have decided to practice. In this case, ignorance may be bliss, but it will not protect them from the fine print. That is not included in their spiritual manual for dummies. I advise anyone who truly wishes to know more about a subject to use caution. If it is a book, it cannot respond to you. It has no tech support. If you get into trouble, you are alone. You may not even know you have a hellacious problem until you are very deeply embedded in your practice. It is like a little like quicksand. Looks firm, the nice brisk, confident steps take you out of arm's reach of solid ground, then you are caught. If this has happened to you, I can help. Of course, it will involve walking away from the practice that trapped you in the first place. It is your choice, of course. That's why God gave us free will. God bless the whole world, no exceptions.